All right, so at the top of this recording, I just want to point out that in reviewing the past recordings, I did a lot of yammering and a lot of yapping about how I smoothed out and how I fixed the interaction between the IRL camera and the digital substitute creature camera. And I didn't ever actually show what that looked like in conclusion. So to sort of make up for that, for this recording, I'm just going to let streamer.bot go. And hopefully you can kind of see that interaction actualized now instead of just words and code in a software. So I've got my phone running, I've got the webcam going, and all that's left to do is to choose a corner and get streamer.bot active. So we'll enable that. And so it's just going to go now. And I'll just leave that in the background. So let's get into Blender. So for this day, day 5 of the Advent apartment thing, I just sort of did a little more organization. I added some like a text footnote thing in day 4 just to kind of remind myself, because day 4 looks pretty empty when I look at it, but just to remind me of what I did and why I'm doing just a little bit extra for day 5. It's still not a lot, but I think it's a lot more than I did on day 3 or day 4, right? So for day 5, I wanted to do 2 things. I wanted to do a pose and I wanted to import something new. So the import of something new, I felt that I wanted to bring in that weird bed thing from my Japanese apartment because A, it sort of belongs there, and B, it's an excuse for me to work on it so that I can maybe progress it and later import that progressed version of the bed thing into the VR chat world that I was working on back in like January or March. I forget when I was working on that. So then the only other hurdles there are the posing and where am I going to put the camera. So this is where I'm going to have the camera live. It's at 15 millimeter focal length, if anyone really cares about that. And then it just sort of came down to, okay, so I have this new object in here. So how are these characters messing with that object? And I've already kind of put the robot in, the Sanyo robot, in a sort of leadership role, into a parenting kind of role. And the little guy, he just doesn't really, like, he starts off this whole thing not really all that jazzed about stuff. And so I thought that I wouldn't sort of put any continuity in like a storyline of emotions or whatever. So I'm just going to have the total opposite of that last frame anyways. But one of the hurdles that I kind of ran across was the method that I'm using to kind of snapshot these poses. And on the one hand, it makes sense and it works, but it's really clunky. I think it's the way that I did the Advanced Rig Pro like setup thing, that where the rig itself wants to fight me every once in a while. Like I'll move everything in and I will then I'll keyframe that, but then when I move a frame, there's like 4 bones, 4 handles that will just move as if they were never affected by the keyframe. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, so that was day 5. It was a little chaotic, very messy, but we got there in the end. So now I've got 3 cameras, 5 days, a new thing that I can mess with. So now I can either texture that thing or I can do something else with it. I don't know, but we'll figure that out in day 6.